Even though we are over 50, it doesn't mean we don't get to have goals and dreams anymore. Our life is hardly over. In fact, it may just be beginning. After watching this video, you're going to learn how to identify the things that are draining your energy and time, and then how you can work towards those goals and dreams that align with the values that you have. Let's go up to my tiny garden. I want to show you what I'm growing up there this year, and let's chat about this. This year I'm not growing much there at all because I planted some garlic bulbs, so I've got them growing, and I think in the next week or so I'll be able to pull them out. There's not a lot. And I've got some lettuce, several things of lettuce growing, kale, and I've got some little cucumbers that are going to come down here along the hang over the rocky, what do you call this, terrace thing. And then I've got pots with some parsley and dill and basil, and also, what is it, got thyme and things like that. And then I've got strawberry plant, strawberry plant and blueberry bushes. And the blueberries we've been picking every day. Okay, so let's get back to this. I made some notes here. When I was young, I was thinking back to how I made decisions back when I was young. I found that I think a lot of us have a lot more faith in ourselves before the hardships over the years start to add up, and we kind of start losing that hope, and we start to we lose the trust we used to have in ourselves if there's been, obviously mistakes that we've made, because nobody's perfect. But as we get older, we lose that kind of way we used to have when we were younger. At least I did. When I was younger, when I think back now on it, how smart I ended up, being, and how I was able to get through things when push came to shove. And I'll give you an example of this. When I was 18, I had a baby, my son. And my parents had moved to Finland, back to Finland. I was in Canada. And when they left, I didn't tell them I was pregnant. So I was left here, and I stayed, and my younger siblings all went back. I really had to figure out what I was going to do with my life. And one of the things that I was thinking about is, how do we move forward with the goals that we have, leave things behind that are no longer good for us. And I had to do exactly that when I was 18 and with a little baby boy. I had to make decisions that were really hard, because the life that I was living was not going to get us anywhere, and we were living in poverty. I think about this a lot, and that baby, my son, saved my life. It changed the whole trajectory of where I was going. Even though I did well in school, I dropped out, and then I had my baby, and that's when I realized, with the weight of that little guy on my shoulders, having to provide security and safety for him, it made me realize and take real inventory of what I had to do and figure it out. I had to figure out how to get a job so that I could provide some security. Wishing and hoping and waiting for something to happen wasn't cutting it. We weren't getting ahead. We were so poor. So one of the things that I did was I started researching what kind of jobs would provide enough that I could give my son some security. Then I made a list of how I was going to get that job. And I knew that for the next little while it was going to be really hard. Life was going to be a struggle, but if this all worked out, I would be able to provide for us. And that was my goal. So when you have a really definite goal in mind, these are the steps you need to take to achieve them. And somehow in my young brain and early motherhood, being a young mom, I was able to figure out that I had set that goal for myself, figured out all the steps I needed to take to get there, and then I knew that I was going to be heading for some really hard times, but I was willing to do that to achieve the goal. So once I made that list, there was a whole bunch of things I had to get through. I had to get my high school diploma. I was a dropout. I had to go to post-secondary school to get the education needed for this job. And somehow I did it because I was moving towards that goal. And because I made those decisions at that time, I ended up working in that career, doing various, stages of school after that. But it led me to the career that I had for over 30 years as a nurse. But if I hadn't made those choices at that young age, I wouldn't be there and I wouldn't have been able to provide for him and myself. And it's funny because even though now those decisions don't seem as life and death, I guess you would say, why are they so difficult now? I'm more comfortable. Maybe that's the problem. I'm more comfortable. I yearn for other things, but I'm comfortable, so I sit back and I don't need to work as hard towards these things. So it's kind of that, what is that saying, that you're only as, I can't remember the saying. Maybe I'll write it down here if I think of it. But it's basically saying that, you're not uncomfortable enough to work towards something. So I must not be uncomfortable enough. But you still have these goals that you want to work towards, but you're not struggling as much, but there's still goals. So how do you get there? Oh, and I would really appreciate it if you would, if you're liking my videos, give it a thumbs up because that really helps share, and also subscribe to the channel. That'd be wonderful. So some of the ways that we can work towards our goals are not super difficult, but they're the things that will move the needle towards whatever it is that you want, whether it's a different a home, you want a different lifestyle, you want to travel more, or you want to just improve your health. These are all the same steps you would take for any of those things. And I think a lot of us, we need to get back and remember how we were when we were younger, when we had more faith in ourselves. That's what I'm trying to do right now. Think about how I was and had those dreams and hopes that were so alive, that drew me to them. I want to have that again because I still have hopes and dreams in this part of my life when a lot of the things that I worked so hard to are all accomplished. I've had my kids, they're adults, I've got my home, but there's those other things that I never got to, especially for me because I was a young mom. I didn't have a chance. I've been a mom since I was 18, so I never did a lot of things when I was in my late teens and 20s. So I want to experience those things now. One of the things is overthinking. Overthinking will really slow you down. That's the one thing I didn't do when I was 18. I just made that list. I didn't worry about how I was going to get to that school, what I was going to do with my son during the day while I was in school. I moved toward the goal, and then as the different objections and things got in the way, I worked around it and figured out how I was going to get through that. But I didn't think of all the things that were going to go wrong right off the bat, because that just puts a total stall to everything. So don't overthink things. Start working towards the goal that you have, whatever it is, and then as things come up, figure out how to get through them, and you'll find that something always seems to come up to help solve the issue. And the other thing you have to get rid of is negative self-talk, because that's one thing that I think as we get older, we do more and more and more of, especially me. I didn't beat myself over the head for dropping out of high school. I didn't beat myself up for being a young mom. I didn't do any of that. I don't remember even thinking about those things or mulling over them. They happened and I just had to deal with it now. And now, if there's anything that goes wrong, I just mull it over and over and over and talk to myself about how I could have done things differently. It's like, get out of my head already. It's enough is enough. I don't need to, beat myself down. There's enough people out there that want to do that for you. You don't have to do it for yourself, because nothing will slow you down towards your goals than constantly being hard on yourself. And something that I didn't do. I don't remember doing that. Isn't that amazing? We have to get some of that spirit back that we had when we were younger. Then the other thing that you need to change is get rid of toxic habits or people around you. There was a lot of that when I was young. The situation that I was in, I was friends with different people that they were nice people, but they had some bad things that were going on, and no matter how much you want to help or be around somebody and be kind and be polite, sometimes the best thing you can do for yourself is pull yourself away, because maybe you're not in a position to help. If you're not in a position to help, it'll only bring you down too. I don't know if I have that much of that in my life right now, because I have learned to be pretty good about when I can't handle something or someone anymore. I have been able to a lot better to pull apart a bit so that I'm not dragged down by it. But there are things like toxic habits that I can surely get rid of that get in the way of my reaching my goal. So definitely it could be something as simple as overspending, getting online and online shopping. That's a bad habit. So figure out what your thing is that you need to get rid of. Is it people or habits that are getting in the way of your goal? And then stop doing that. The other thing was just hanging around those people when I was young brought me down, but it also, they weren't encouraging me to move ahead and get better and to reach the goal of getting a job that was able to provide for me and my son. So figure out if it's a habit or toxic relationships that you need to change, and then start moving towards getting rid of those in your life. And the next thing is unrealistic expectations. Set yourself that goal, and then, but make it a realistic goal. And it was simple when I was young. I knew I had to go to school. I wanted to go to become a licensed practical nurse. Back then it was a shorter period of education that I needed, so it was doable for me. But not that doable, because you needed to at least graduate high school, and you needed, oh, there's a hummingbird here. Oh my God, how pretty. He just came just out of a shot of the camera, just sitting there watching me. We have a lot of them here. But I had set the goal that had a very specific result to get into that program at community college. So it was the first step. So you have to make realistic goals. Don't make them lofty and kind of unsubstantiated. You have to put a timeline on it, and don't make them so far out that they're never reachable, and don't make them so easy that it doesn't take a little bit of work, because neither of those are really goals, are they? One is a dream and the other is just every day. So make a goal that you really want to reach, but make it attainable with some work, and give it really good boundaries, and so that you know when you've reached it. For me, getting my diploma, then getting into that college to get my practical nursing diploma was obviously a realistic, but it had a definite substance to it, and I could tell when I had completed it. And that was the beginning of my career. And then this is something that we need to do for ourselves. Whether it's you want to do a trip, like I want to go to Italy. It's been on my list of places I want to go and I haven't gotten there yet. I need to I'm going to put it down as my 2026 goal. It's going to be there. I'm going to go to Italy. So whatever it is, you have to give yourself a timeline and make it realistic, but requiring a bit of work, whether it's health, lifestyle, home, whatever it is, do that. What are you going to cut out of your life that's no longer helping you reach your goals or dreams? Let us know in the comments, because we can share, talk about it. I think it's good to get encouragement from others too, because when you want to reach something, you want to surround yourself with people. When you want to reach a goal, you want to be around people, surround yourself with the people that are working towards the same types of things. It doesn't have to be the exact same thing, but are people that are motivating because they're in the same boat. I hope you have a great week, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.